Alright, I'm back with another video about the jammer hammer. I did a couple of these already, kind of just first-hand trial and jamming around with it on a 12 string. But I got a couple requests on like some tutorials on how to use it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and make this real quick, but we'll go over a few things on it. First thing that I totally noticed, especially last night because I took it into the studio and recorded a song using this thing. One of the biggest things I could say for technique and tutorial is really just in the setup. If you look at the video they have, it shows how to set it up. You got to adjust the arms to fit the width of the strings. That's pretty easy. Even with it installed, you can bend them side to side, no problem. You can bend them further back away from the strings with it installed, no problem. The thing is you want the hammers for, it's going to be user specific. It's going to change for me too, depending on what sound I want, what I'm going to play. But last night what I was trying to do was things like just getting even notes, you know, like an arpeggiated sequence, like I found I was missing notes. I was hitting it and not getting a note, and that was because the distance of the hammers were not equal. That makes a big difference for the feel of it. So I'm still adjusting. I think that my A is, I can look from the side and see that A is still far away. So I can hit on the D string, just enough pressure to get a sound, and use that same amount of pressure on the A string. And I'm not getting the sound, so it takes a harder hit. So that could be kind of a distraction. I gotta adjust the A string. And to get the hammers closer, I gotta take this off the bracket. It's easy to do, but I'll mess with it later. E string, low E string, that's the most problematic, I think. It's easy to hit it too hard and you get this bad sound. Like that. Where it doesn't sound good. If you hit it softer, you gotta hit it just right. So I found for the low E string to move the hammer further away from the string helps. Another thing, I mean, this is all, a lot of it's going to come down to what you're playing, what kind of sound you want, and your personal preference and your style of playing. So there is no right or wrong. But this is what helped me. Another thing I like, just for the sound of it, the thing I liked about this device is the sound it produces that's similar to a hammered dulcimer. If you haven't seen those, it's this big soundboard with a lot of strings, and you use these wooden mallets to hammer on them, like drumsticks, and it has a similar sound. When you get the hammer jammer, it has these plastic, what do you call them? Hammer pieces, the attachments at the end of the arms, and there are these pink ones installed. It also comes with another set that are purple. The purple ones are harder, and they get more of that sound. I'd love to have some actually that had like a wood piece in there to get even a harder sound. But that gives me more of an impression of a hammered dulcimer. And I put them all to purple. I had the first two strings purple and the rest pink, and I finally just switched them all out to purple, and I like the sound better for what I'm going for. And again, that's of course personal preference. So technique is going to be much easier to use when you set it up right, and it takes time. You're not going to do it in 5 minutes, or maybe probably not in one day. You got to keep kind of messing around with it a little bit, but as you get closer, you enjoy it more, and it starts working how you want it. Another thing is the whole bracket, the whole device slides on the bracket that you mount, and that I haven't noticed any difference in how it feels to. I mean, of course, there's a difference on the further back the strings have more tension. The main thing is the tone. That's what I've noticed. So you'll find that sweet spot where the tone is the best. Last night it's still installed. I'm not plugged in right now, but I have a sound hole pickup, and I ran that way. I didn't mic it, and I was wondering if that's going to even work. Worked flawlessly, no problem. And I was able to just adjust this to find that sweet spot where the strings sound the best and get the right tone for the song. Alright, so now that's a lot of the setup part, and it takes some time and personal preference, and it's not like you bend it and it stays there. You got to keep kind of slowly doing it to get it where you want it. So it's a bit of a time consuming process, but you learn how you like to have it set up as you do it, I guess. But now to the technique side. What I'm doing right now is open tuning. I use this tuning a lot, and that's how this guitar is tuned normally. And right now it's D. Everything's D except the B string's tuned to A. So with open tuning, you're going to find it's probably a lot easier to get used to the hammer jammer because you can focus on the right hand. You don't even have to use your left hand in whatever you hit. So it's going to sound okay. Notes aren't going to clash. So you can just focus on the right hand technique and rhythm. Now, of course, like if you think of finger picking, thumb, middle, index, something like that. It's the same thing, but we're not plucking strings, we're just hitting the pads. So anything you learn like that is going to work the same, but it feels different because you're not plucking strings. So if you imagine like what you've learned on finger picking and practice tapping on a surface, same thing. What I liked, last night I was using this a lot with, was like a tremolo effect. Easiest on the bottom string, just the angle of the pad, and you can use 2 fingers on the same pad. Just big enough to do that. It's good. So I'm just gonna, that kind of thing sounds cool for 1 string or multiple 2 strings. And I'm thinking almost like a hand drum. Also, another one that I liked is just the whole hand, the flat part of your hand, just smack the whole thing. So you're hitting all 6 strings. And you can do like a rhythm. And if we think like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, it's boring. We want to think, we can do quarter notes, but whatever, add accents, because it does have a dynamic ability and range. Just like a hand drum, if you strike on the edge or towards the center, you're going to get different tones from bass to treble. This is going to have more like a dynamic range and range from bass to treble as well on the strings. Open tuning is I can just use 1 string. I'll go up a scale. Say it's like, say I'm using Phrygian mode. Use any scale you want, but I'm going to just use that 1 string to play something in a key or whatever, and the rest of the open strings are going to accompany it, and it sounds almost like 2 instruments because I got that open ringing of the strings and the hammered effect, and then left hand can do effects like, or not effects, technique like sliding or hammer-ons or vibrato or bending, pull-offs, whatever, to get that more of a traditional guitar sound. So it sounds like a guitar is being accompanied by a hammered dulcimer, I guess. And yeah, those are, it's pretty intuitional, I guess, where you just kind of mess around with it and try it out. Like I said, the biggest part of it is the setup. And it kind of sounds like a bad thing, like, it's going to be a pain in the butt. It is a little bit, especially when you first get it, you just want to use it right away. So you got to mess around with it a bit. It's a good thing, too, because it's pretty versatile as far as the sounds and the way you can make it react. It's not... I don't know. It's not something like, I saw some comments on the Maker's channel on the demo where someone's like, well, that's just cheating. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But It doesn't make it any easier, it doesn't make it any harder. It's just you're using total different technique, I guess, and getting a different sound. That's the coolest thing about it. Interesting. I like it. The more I'm using it, the more I like it, and I'm kind of itching to get into the studio now to mess around with it more. Unfortunately, what I recorded last night, I can't just throw up and share it because it's for a release that's coming out in a month or so, and I can't put that up before it's actually released. I have more work to do in the studio, but if I get a little bit of time to mess around tonight, I will try to record something fairly quick to get a very clear example of how it sounds, other than through a webcam, but actually in the studio. Get a better idea of the sound quality and the overall uses of it. That's it for now. What I'll try to do very, very soon as well is set this up on a standard tuned guitar and give better ideas of how I think most people would use it that aren't using open tuning. But I also do recommend trying open tuning if you're trying to just get the hang of it for the right hand. Another thing, I don't think I covered this, tremolo. If you're used to just using a pick, it might be a little difficult to get that tremolo going. For me, I'm a bass player, so it's easy. But I think the things I would point out for that are just the way your hands have to work. Your hand has to work. It's got to be very relaxed, very loose, basically. Think of the fingertips have all the weight in it. It's like a whip or something. All the work is in the knuckles, in this area. Everything else is loose and relaxed. And it's swinging the fingers. It's not forcing and like tightening them and muscling down. It's really just very loose and relaxed. So it's a very relaxed kind of thing. That's the way to think of it. Keep everything, forearm, wrist, hand relaxed. It's all kind of worked in the knuckles. If you try to like keep things rigid and hit hard like that and muscle down, you're not going to be able to go very fast, and you're going to, after a few seconds, it's going to be like tiring to do. So that's the last one. You can also use like the wrist to go from like thumb to middle finger or ring finger. Again, everything's super relaxed and just loose, like it's asleep. It's all the wrist and the momentum, the swinging motion that's getting that effect. So I think that's it for now. Like I said, I'll have some more videos coming soon. Thanks for watching, and please hit like or subscribe if you found this useful.